All right, welcome back to this episode of Rob's Restoration Garage. I am ready to start stripping the paint off all the body pieces, including the trunk lid, the fenders or the wings, and the doors. And so what I went out and did is I bought one of these metal surface conditioning tools from Harbor Freight. And that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to try it out and see how it does. So if you're like me and you thought about using one of these, I've watched videos of it online, and you're probably like me. You started thinking, do I buy the high-end Eastwood version, which is like $189 or $199, or do I go with the cheapy version from Harbor Freight? And so I went with Harbor Freight, and honestly, I bought this the first time, and I got it for $149, and then when I got home and I looked at the flyer that they included in my bag, it said that it was going to be on sale 2 weeks later. So I did the right thing, returned it, got my money back, waited 2 weeks later, and bought it for $108. So I figured for $108, it's worth a shot to see how it does. So I'm going to open it up, put it all together, and then start using it. All right, as you can see, I feel like it does a really good job of taking the paint off. This has the original primer, the British Racing Green, another primer over the top, and then this yucky maroon color that's pretty nasty. But it's taking it off nice and easy. The metal doesn't actually get hot. What I plan on doing is going ahead and taking all the paint off down to the metal and then switching to a little finer grit and going back over it again just to see what it looks like. But let me show you up close. Does a great job. I'm very impressed. I can't wait to do the next grit to see what it looks like. Of course, you find out little dents that you had that you didn't even know. So far, so good. Okay, I moved outside to finish this off because it puts off a lot of dust, and it's nice outside today. So this is still with the heavy grit, and it looks good. Again, you start to find out you got a dent here, and you can see right here, you got a dent here, dent there, and obviously those will with some body filler over the top of them, you won't even know they're there. So I'm going to switch over to the really fine grit and go over it one more time and see what that looks like. One of the big differences with the Harbor Freight version is it does come with 3 different wheels, sanding wheels, where the Eastwood one, I think you only get one, you have to buy the extra one. So I'm going to switch it out and then see how it does. You gotta remember reverse threads. I think this is 40 grit. Now I'm gonna switch to 240. All right, let's see what it looks like. Okay, I went over it with 240, and basically what it did is just smooth it out. You don't feel the kind of ridges that the 40 grit creates. So it's just nice. It's like a brand new piece of metal, even though it's been around for 50 years. So now what I have to do is work on this side. That's a whole nother story. Okay, after I finished this side, basically I did this whole side, and how I did that is I used the surface conditioner tool in all the places that I could, and then the places I couldn't reach, I just used the 1/4-inch angle die grinder and went through and got all the places that I couldn't get. On the edges though of this, I actually did some sandblasting on that. I just took it outside, used a bucket of sand and drew it right out of the bucket and just cleaned off these edges. It didn't take that long, and actually didn't take that much sand. And then I went through and polished everything. So let's take a look at the repair that I have to do now that I've got it all cleaned off. So I think what I'm going to do for this repair is, you can see there are a couple of planes here. You have this plane right here, you have these side and these sides, plus you have this. So you really have three kind of surfaces that are coming together. So what I'm going to try to do is actually replace those one at a time. So cut out, I'm not going to go all the way down. I'm going to try to stay out of these holes because they're obviously set, and I don't want to have to try to match those up. Maybe the easiest thing to do would just be to replace this whole thing, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to basically cut this like from here over and from here over off, and replace this piece that goes here first. Then come over and get this one, and then get this one. And maybe I'll just try to make it as one piece so that you can weld both sides of it. It'll give it a little bit more strength. So it's very thin on the back side of it, so I'm gonna have to really cut way back in order to get it to where there's something that's gonna be weldable. But it's gonna take a while, but it's just gonna be a matter of playing with it to figure out just exactly how far down and far over that you need to go. Okay, here's the hole. I'm gonna do it on this side first and see how it goes, and maybe change the strategy for the other side. But I think this is cut back, and I'm gonna sand off this back side to clean it off better. But now the goal is cut this piece, and then the other one, see if I can get them to overlap. I'll probably just tack them in and then be able to pull them off and weld them on both sides to be able to create this corner that I'm going to round over. At least that's the plan at this point. Okay, so I put this piece in and just tack welded it in, a couple of spots to hold it. Then I've created this piece. Let me show you where it goes. So it's going to go right here on this back side, and try to get the angles as good as you can. But my plan right now is to go ahead and tack it in place and weld it a couple of good times to this straight piece, then cut the whole thing off and weld the whole thing together so I can round off the edges, and then hopefully weld it all back in as one piece. All right, I have it welded in and it looks ugly, I'm not gonna lie. There were a lot of places where it blew out on me up here at the top, but it's in there, and I'm gonna go ahead and take the cutoff wheel and just cut off this excess part, and then use the angle grinder to smooth it out and see how it looks. If it works, then I'll try to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so I've rounded it down. I need to clean it up just a little bit more, especially this little spot right here. But honestly, it's not too bad. It's not perfect, but it's not too bad. I'm gonna keep cleaning it, and I'm sure it's gonna get better. Okay, I'm working on the other side, and I went about this one a little bit differently because the first on this side, I basically put this piece in first, then I put this back piece in, and this time I did it in reverse order. I basically sized this piece up and bent it and get it all ready. It's just easier to do because you have access to the hole. And then now I can just put a straight piece in that's the right distance from here to here, but plenty of space at the top, and just weld it along the edge, pull it off and weld it on the back side, and then tack the whole, grind it all off, tack the whole thing, and it should be ready to go. So a little bit different approach on this. Let's face it, if you're not learning, you're not trying. Okay, so I finished working on this trunk lid. I've got one little spot on the backside that the metal just got too thin and it blew out, and so I had to layer it up. I still need to go back in and grind that smooth. And I got a couple little spots over here that I filled in too, and I need to grind those smooth. But for the most part, the trunk lid is stripped and repaired and ready to go. What I need to still do is I need to go through and strip off both the front wings, the doors, the hood, and I still need to do the body. All of that to get to where you're gonna prime and paint it. I've had lots of people ask me, are you gonna paint it yourself, or are you gonna pay somebody to paint it? And honestly, I have mixed feelings about it, because in some ways, I don't wanna do all this work and then put a mediocre paint job, amateur paint job for sure, or a bad paint job by doing it myself. But I've done all the work myself, and I don't want to get to the end where I say, well, I did all the work myself, but I had somebody else paint it. So I think I'm leaning towards I'm going to paint it myself. And you may be thinking, well, how are you going to do that? And the truth is, I don't know yet. So stick with me, watch the next few episodes, because that's what we're moving toward. And that's going to be a challenge for sure. So look forward to getting to it. I hope you stay with me for all those episodes.